This morning, we're talking about your waistline, whether
Do
you
we
want to
have
or not.
to?
Right. Keeping it within bounds during the holiday season, or at least not letting it go any wider, right?
No more expansion.
No. Dietitian Leslie Bonci, with the California Dried Plum Board, joins us right now with some information. Good morning, Leslie.
Good morning to you both. How are you?
Good, thank you. And this is a challenging time of year, that's for sure, right?
Well, it is, and the goal is not to be waddling just like the turkey on the plate.
I've done that too
Or
many
gobbling just like the turkey
Right.
either.
See, and this is the problem, though. People don't gobble, they're shoveling. And then
Right.
they're in, it's just like inhale without even chewing, and that's why everybody is leaving the table a lot wider than they were.
So you've seen us at parties before.
Oh, I've seen everybody. I work with football players. It's not a pretty sight.
That's
Oh,
right.
gosh.
That's right. You do. So what's the trick? I know that I've heard in the past if you can stick to, say, like the celery sticks and the cut up peppers and stuff, and dip it in hummus or something. But do you have some variation on those?
I do, and quite frankly, nobody does that anyway. So, it sounds like a good idea, but it's not happening.
In theory, it sounds great.
I think that the most important thing is being choosy. And I say that because a lot of times at the holidays, we have dishes around that we don't have at other points during the year. So if you could eat a roll every day, then maybe you opt to have the stuffing instead. Second is sit and savor and literally chew, and that means utensils, so that you take your time to eat because, people are just like wolfing the food down without tasting. And I kind of like the idea, instead of leftovers, how about enjoy again? Oh, I have 2 meals to look forward to instead of a trough on my plate right now.
Right.
That is really smart.
And then I think also this idea of breaking between courses. I mean, we happen to do that at Thanksgiving is everybody eats, and then really do you have room for the pumpkin pie when it's ready to shoot out of your nostrils? Probably not. So you take a little break, and then you come back, and you eat, and you enjoy it. And there's no reason why, we have to have a speed eating on any holiday time. Take the time. And I also like the idea of throwing in some curveballs. And one of the things that works really well is, and we do this, I put a little bit of dried plum into the salad. I've actually done roasted vegetables with it. I'll put a little bit into the stuffing. It adds a little bit of that sweet taste, and you get that, that's kind of nice. So if you throw in something with a little excitement, it just to change it up a little bit, and that puts a little color into the plate as well, so we're not just going in hues of tan.
Right. Well, and it is Thanksgiving, so you get a lot of that with the turkey and the gravy and the stuffing. Now, Leslie, I have a question for you. Are there foods that you would say, if you're looking at this smorgasbord, you would go one direction over another because they have hidden calories? I feel like a lot of the food I make has hidden calories. It's got like a cup of butter and everything.
Well, I mean, for instance, a lot of people, when they do their stuffing, and, they're either you're doing it with the drippings or you've got to put a lot of fat into it because you want to moisten it. So could you moisten it with something else? And you could, is even a little bit of a fruit juice or sometimes even a little bit of a broth to provide some flavor. It's an easy way to cut the calories. How about those mashed potatoes? So instead of maybe whipping it with the pound of butter, if you use a Greek yogurt, it provides the creaminess, and you can get away with a little bit less fat added to it. And even in a pumpkin pie, and I make them every year, I don't usually use a pastry crust. What I'll do is either do like almond on the bottom or even like ginger snaps, and instead of using the cream, evaporated skim milk. I mean, those are simple savings, and nobody's sitting at the table going, yuck, what was that?
Yeah, they don't even know.
No, that's true.
And that's funny because Patty's going to share, I think, her mashed potato recipe later in the show, and I can guarantee you it doesn't have Greek yogurt
But
in it.
I like the idea of yogurt. I usually put sour cream, but yogurt is a good substitute for the sour cream.
Yeah. So, Leslie...
And especially the Greek, because it's thicker, or even like in a pumpkin bisque, when people are doing those types of things, you put it in there and you get this fabulous creamy taste, and it's actually good for the waistline as well.
That does sound good.
Leslie, you are a registered dietitian, and you do work closely with the California Dried Plum Board. You mentioned putting some dried plums in a couple of dishes a moment ago. Some people hear dried plums and they're like, what is a dried plum? A lot of people know that as a prune, right? But prunes...
Right.
Prunes
it's a makeover. It's a name over. And, I mean, and truly they are. dried plums, and I think it sounds a little sexier to be eating them that way, but it's exactly the same thing, and they really come out of the box, so to speak, into lots of different ways that people are using them. I will tell you, we have them on training tables for all the teams that I work with, and so far so good. They're actually eating them, so this is good.
If you've ever had canola oil, it used to be known as rapeseed oil, and you can see why that is a distasteful name.
A
right?
name makeover.
Had a name makeover and became one of America's most popular oils. So now I want to talk a bit about the nutrition. First of all, before we get to the nutrition aspect, most of the dried plums in the United States are made right here in California, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That's fantastic. And then let's talk a little bit about the nutrition. They're rich in a lot of important things.
They are. So if you have a serving is 4 to 5, which is a relatively small amount, so you're going to get 3 grams of fiber. It actually is a very significant source of potassium at about 300 milligrams, and that would be comparable to maybe an orange juice or a baked potato. But you can't eat a potato raw, so you have to cook it. So the plums are a little bit easier, and you also get some magnesium in them, and a calorie cost is 100. That's it. And the other cool thing about them is that there is research out of California looking at the fact that the plums have a role to play in satiety. So you feel fuller for longer. So for 100 calories, feeling fuller for longer makes a lot more sense than those little 100-calorie snack packs that you look in the bag and say, I think there's something in there, but I can't find it.
That's so funny. I think when I think prunes, which now we're calling them dried plums, I just think about my grandparents, and it was part of their morning routine. But you know what? I had a couple of very healthy grandparents, so maybe they were on to something.
And I mean, a lot of times people use dried plums for digestive health, which is true. However, some emerging research on bone health, and that could be one of the other reasons that your grandparents are healthy. Actually, there are substances in the dried plums that support healthy bones. So that's two positives about it.
I'll tell you what, this is a little bit embarrassing, but I'll share it anyway. I have been a prune fan my entire life, and when I was a kid, I made my mom buy the Gerber prunes
baby
food up until I was in high school, and I would eat it as like a pudding snack. It tasted like pudding to me, and so
that's hilarious,
isn't that? And so I was eating. I know Anthony, our audio guy, goes, "That's disgusting," but it's not. Try it. If you know what, if they snuck it onto your plate,
I think he still eats it now.
If they snuck it onto your plate at a fancy restaurant as like a sauce that you dipped like a wonton in or something like that, you'd be like, "This plum sauce is amazing." Oh, really? It's Gerber prune food, right? So.
But there you go. Is pureeing them, or even the little bits that they are, or eating them as they are. It's incredibly versatile, and the fact of the matter is you enjoy them. So who's going to argue that point? That's a good thing.
Thank you, Leslie, and
You're welcome.
lots of information and recipes and that sort of thing at CaliforniaDriedPlums.org. As always, we have the links at EatDrinkExplore.com right there in the radio program summary. Leslie Bonci with the California Dried Plum Board. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Hey, everybody, have a good holiday.
You too.